And I'm going to film the next 3 episodes because the month ahead of filming projects is chaotic. So I need to bang out a few, and I'm not excited about the next couple coming up, to say the least. When I thought about taking on this project, I envisioned telling a lot more stories that I'm proud of. And now that I'm here getting it done, I'm steering toward the ones that I'm not proud of. I think because there's more to be learnt from that area, and there's probably still some stuff I have to process from those darker periods of my life. Makes it sound like a very sort of rough patch, my early high school years, but at the time that couldn't be further from the truth. I actually loved going to school. I'd rarely call in sick. Had so many of my best friends there. Really enjoyable classes. I liked most of my teachers, but somehow I got caught up being a bit of a bully, it seems. And I don't know if anyone else can relate to that. Yeah, I think that's probably the first time I've ever said it out aloud. I was in a group where the banter was strong. We ripped into one another. And quite frankly, we were really mean to one another. But because we were all so close, a lot of us just let it slide. And it's kind of just the way of the world at that age, especially male tall poppy syndrome culture. But yeah, sometimes I would apply those manipulative bullying techniques to people that weren't actually in my close sphere of friends. And they mustn't have been used to it, because turns out they hated it. And I can't blame them. One story that keeps coming to mind, I don't even know if I've told out aloud since back then. But a mate and I, we had a class together, and there was this kid in our class. I don't know what his problem was, but I really did not get along with him at all. And we'd kind of constantly niggle at one another. I was probably a bit more of the aggressor. And one day, for some odd reason, my friend and I ended up going up to him in class, and we had a bit of a confrontation. And I'm pretty sure I got his ruler and just snapped it on my knee and then threw it on his desk like an absolute idiot. Anyways, didn't think a whole lot of it. And he kind of told on us and all that sort of stuff. And so that afternoon, my friend and I sort of like followed him out of the school parks, and we were kind of like, you know, just, I guess the word would be like staunching him, just being absolute pricks. Just like, you know, up in his face saying, oh, you like dobbing on us, you fucking sook, all that sort of stuff. Just really rude. Actually, like, upsets me to think about it now, but I think that's why it's such a good, important story to tell. Good's probably not the right word. But yeah, we scared him. Maybe a little bit of like shoving and stuff like that. Nothing too physical. And yeah, he went on his way. We went on our way, laughed it off, and then thought nothing of it. A couple of weeks later, get called into the school principal's office, my friend and I, and yeah, we were in the doghouse. And like his parents had got involved, and before you knew it, he had a restraining order out on us. Well, he applied for one. And so I'm this like little year 7 boy that's hasn't been in a proper fight in my life. At the time, I thought a lot of this stuff was just harmless niggling, but it really was bullying. Like, I'm not sidestepping that, but I wasn't going around flogging people or making people's life a living nightmare, just being a little shit, you know? And so we got summoned to go to court. And I was like, wait, what? I snapped this kid's ruler and pushed him around a bit, and all of a sudden I'm having to go to court. I couldn't wrap my head around it. And so my parents were spewing, rightfully so. Mum got me a lawyer, and my friend's mum got him a lawyer, and we both rocked up to the ACT Magistrates Court. And I still remember my friend, his mum was like an authentic Chinese lady and didn't speak the best English, and she dressed him up in this like Vinnie sweater that went up to like here. It was probably like 2 sizes too small, and you should have seen when he rocked up. I couldn't help but piss myself laughing because he looked like the biggest loser in this sweater, and his mum just had no idea. And thinking about it now, what I was dressed up in was probably more embarrassing. At the time, I did a lot of like competitive cross country and track and field. and I just represented the state at cross country nationals, and I got dressed up in my full ACT nationals cross country tracksuit. Thinking like, all right, I'm trying to show the judge that, you know, like I'm an athlete and that I try really hard and all this sort of stuff. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was wearing the full-on tracksuit, and we go into like the front main area of the courthouse, and we're waiting to get called in, and we're sitting out there twiddling our thumbs, like petrified, thinking this is the end of the world. And then my lawyer came out and had a chat to mum and was like, oh yeah, no, it's all good. We've sorted it. There's going to be no restraining order. Turns out that this family has a real track record of doing this kind of thing. Apparently the older sister of the kid that I was bullying had put in a bunch of these sorts of things in the past, and a lot of them hadn't gone through. So yeah, before you knew it, there was no restraining order, and like hands were clean of that. And I was just like, wait, what? Like, I thought I was about to go to juvie or something. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was just overthinking the whole thing. And then, yeah, before you know it, we're back at school. I think I might have got like an in-school suspension for a couple of days. That was like the only time I ever got like half suspended or whatever you want to call it. It wasn't like an at-home suspension, but I was just like had to sit outside the principal's office for a couple of days. And yeah, that was a tricky one. And like, I don't know, it definitely made it like an easier pill to swallow, the fact that we didn't get the restraining order out on us. But it doesn't take away from the way that we made that kid feel. Like, he clearly didn't feel safe around us, and that sort of banter was just fairly common at a public school back in that time. Yeah, I think like a little bit of banter and, you know, pushback against your peers and whatnot is relatively normal for that age, and to an extent sort of healthy in a way. Like, if you're sheltered from being in confrontational experiences your whole schooling life, and then you step out into the big wide world and you're confronted with people when you're going out clubbing for the first time and they want to fight you and they're drunk, and this is the first experience you've ever had to confrontation, it's going to be a rude shock. And so I really want to emphasize, I'm not trying to like justify what I did at all. Like, it's part of the reason why I'm talking about this. Bullying in any sense of the word is unacceptable, but I think there is a small place for healthy banter between friends. Sometimes you can cross that line. Clearly I did on this occasion, but I've seen how healthy banter between friends can actually really build a strength up within someone. And I think if you tiptoe around this sort of stuff through your schooling years and throughout your early years holding a career, inevitably it's going to come up and bite you in the ass, and you're probably going to just not know what to do with yourself. So being able to handle confrontation and back yourself, I think it's a very undervalued skill set. But yeah, like that particular scenario, it's weird how that was the one that made me end up having to go to court. There was other things I did back then that made that seem like it was nothing. And like I said, I wasn't going around flogging people, I wasn't going around stealing people's shit, but I had a way of getting under people's skin, and not only my peers, like teachers. Far out, I was a little shit back then. Like, I would be able to make relief teachers cry and make their life either really exciting and fun as a relief teacher or miserable, depending on how I woke up on that side of the bed that day. And I know that sounds like pretty dark, but for some reason, the energy and the enthusiasm that the teacher brought into the room really made an impact on me and the way that I reciprocated that energy. If they came in and you could tell that they didn't give a shit about us, and they're just going to read off the board and they're just going to sit there and not give a single fuck about us, there was a good chance I was going to let them know about it. And I just liked stuffing with teachers, you know. I felt like they enjoyed stuffing with us sometimes as well. So yeah, like, this is just another one of those stories that I'm like regretting talking about. But bullying, it's so prevalent in today's society, and I don't think it's very often that people will actually own up to it. A lot of us will sit up on our high horse and think, bullying? Nah, I've never bullied anyone. But if you've gone through your life without bullying someone, hats off to you. No, genuinely, like that's amazing. But bullying isn't necessarily in the physical sense of the word. I think there are many facets of bullying that people don't even understand, and then consequently don't realize they're doing it. It could even be passively bitching about people behind their back to their friends, and then that is going to make their friends think differently of them. So if you're someone that hasn't gone up to someone directly and bullied them, doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a bully of sorts, because I think there's a real prevalent passive bullying culture in Australian society. And I'm kind of just coming up with this passive bullying phrase right now on the fly. Haven't thought too much into it, but I think you know what I mean. Bitching about people behind their back to their friends, and sure, you're not saying it to their face, but it's still having a similar effect. It means the people around them are going to look at them differently. And if anything, it's more noble to say it face to face with someone and genuinely discuss with them how they're making you feel and telling them what you think of them, opposed to hiding behind a curtain and drip feeding information to other people, so it will inevitably ruin these people's friendships with the people around them. This shit's too heavy. I don't even know why I'm talking about it, but it feels like I just really want to tackle some of these issues that I don't feel are being discussed enough. Bullying, one of them. So yeah, Michael, year 7, genuinely sorry, pal. I was a little shit back then, and sometimes I still am a little bit of a shit, but I'm owning it. I'm acknowledging it and trying to work through that stuff. And yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow, but hopefully by putting myself on the chopping block a bit here, other people can potentially reflect on the way in which they treat people directly or indirectly. Because far out, if there's one thing we need more on the world, it's kindness and it's honesty. So yeah, another really cheerful episode. Love this shit. And the next one's no better, but hopefully down the track I'm going to have some more exciting ones to talk about. But this is where I am, and that is where I was at that time of my life.